Welcome to the Wild Simplicity podcast, the podcast for awakening women who are ready to shed the layers, let go of the clutter, and rediscover their wild and wonderful selves that lie beneath. I'm Anna Day, and together we'll explore how to simplify, release what's no longer serving us, and embrace the possibility of living fully in this one wild and precious life. Whether you're a dreamer, a seeker, or someone who craves doing things differently, this space is for you. Let's dive in and awaken the magic within. Hello, welcome back to the Wild Simplicity podcast. This is Anna, and let's break some rules. Today, I wanted to talk about breaking rules. I wanted to talk about making up our own rules, actually, more precisely. And I was thinking about this because I've been playing with my bedtime and exercising and food and loads of areas, actually, parenting. I mean, pretty much every area of my life. And I love to experiment with these things and play and feel into what feels right for me. And the more that I can tune into myself and know myself and listen to my intuitive hits and understand myself and really get to know myself, the more I can play with this and the more I can experiment and the more I can know what I feel is right for me and what feels in my body is right for me, and identify those things and get a sense of when I hear something, if it's right for me or not. And like the simple thing, bedtime has always been such a theme for me, and how much sleep we should get, that big word shoulding all over ourselves. And I've always thought, okay, 8 hours is what I need, the sleep I need. And that's the number I have in my head. And then, over the years, you hear all these research, particularly about women needing a certain amount of sleep. What is it, between 7 and 9 hours, they say at the moment. And I know sleep is really good for me and sleep really helps me. And when I'm well slept and well rested, I'm a better person. I know that. But also, I thrive in the evenings. I also love the mornings. So as you know, I've been speaking about getting up in the mornings and doing my morning pages, which I still do. So I get up at about 6:30 most mornings and I spend an hour to myself before the kids wake up at 7:30. Correction, before I wake the kids up at 7:30. They do not wake up by themselves, despite having a really loud alarm. Anyway, so I spend an hour for myself. I write, which usually takes me a good half an hour probably, because I tend to go off and daydream in between writing. So then, it could take about half an hour to writing three full pages of A4 pages, a la Julia Cameron from The Artist's Way. So I do that, and then I tend to read a few pages of a couple of inspirational books that I have on the go, and then I'll sometimes do, if I have time, I'll do a few minutes of either just sitting in silence or meditation or just sitting, just being. And that works really well for me. So that is something that has become quite consistent. It's not as consistent at weekends. I don't get up at 6:30, but I do still take time to do it on a weekend morning. So that's brilliant for me. That feels really, really good. So I know that that's something that I like and it works. This week now, my husband has been away, and I have noticed that I have been leaving it too late to wake the kids, going on to, 7:45, and it's too late to get us all ready and to do the lunches and the snacks and to make sure that they're still moving along, particularly one of them who's a little bit slower and a little bit takes her time. So yes, there's that. So that's something I want to adjust and give myself a little bit more of a buffer so there's not that stress in the morning. But I think that is also a learned response to have that constricted time in the morning that creates that stress, and we get to school just on time, maybe a couple of minutes late sometimes. So that's been my pattern for a long time and what I grew up with as well. So there's a familiarity with that, and there's a comfort in that. So I am playing and experimenting with how could it be if I had a spaciousness so I've created spaciousness for myself in the mornings, but could there be a spaciousness in the family getting ready and out the door and just having a really, effortless, and we still have an enjoyable time in the car. I always play music for the kids and we always sing along and everything. So that's good. But there are tweakings there. Anyway, I digress. So that's the morning time is really good for me. And I have established that as a nice rhythm for myself. But the evening times, I also thrive. I thrive on, as a Manny Gen as well, manifesting generator and human design, which I loosely use as a guide. I really enjoy human design. And it really works well for me to use up my energy at the end of the day. And often that can be by learning and by taking in information by webinars. I rarely, sometimes watch Netflix, but rarely. I usually go to, um, personal development, personal growth, spiritual texts, things like that, that really just fascinate me and are just food for my soul. And that really ignites me. And I will often stay up until midnight. That seems to be the magnetized time I stay up until. And I have been wronging that for so long over the last few years. Oh, it's so late, I go to bed too late, and berating myself. I should be getting this, like, 7 to 9 hours that women should be getting, and yada yada. But I have experimented this week. I got into bed on Monday and Tuesday a bit earlier, so I was asleep by about maybe 10:30, quarter to 11. And that helped for sure. But I actually woke a couple of times during the night and was able to get back to sleep. But I noticed then the third night I decided to go back. I didn't decide, it just happened. I went to sleep at midnight, and I slept the whole night through. So, just the experimenting and play and holding loosely these things and these ideas we have for ourselves and that society has for us, and that latest research tells us what is the next best thing to be doing, and to question those things and to play with them and to experiment and to I think for me, what I'm now going to experiment with this week coming is, okay, a couple of nights, midnight, going to sleep, and then a couple of nights going a little bit earlier, and play with that, like it not me not having a set bedtime every night. And the differentiation is between having a routine for myself that works, but also the flexibility within that container. So, the masculine, feminine, the structure, but also the flow within the structure. So, and that can be difficult at times, because it's easier to have somebody just say to me, go to bed at this time, do it, and let's have across the board, this is your bedtime. But to be attuned to ourselves, and attuned to ourselves on each given day and within the cycles, and to get the flavor and the sensations and the nuance that's going on there, it's quite a skill. Like, and it takes a lot of trust in ourselves. So that's one element I've been playing with. And actually last night I had this craving. I haven't done exercise in ages. I've been doing jumpies. They're called jumps, just jumping to a song every day. I've been doing that for the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 weeks now. I started before Christmas. So yeah, maybe 4 or 5 weeks. I missed a couple of days, but most days I have been doing jumps to one song, like either pretending I'm skipping or just actually jumping up and down. Or dancing around, like just as long as I'm levitating a little bit. And that has been so much fun and so much great movement. And okay, it's only like 3 minutes, but it changes my energy. It gets me warmer if I'm cold in the house, especially in the mornings. I sometimes do it in the mornings when the kids are in the kitchen having their breakfast, and I will be, getting their lunches ready or whatever, and I'll be jumping at the same time. They think it's hilarious, and it's always good fun. Or I do it during the day. It depends. Sometimes I do it as part of my morning routine, like between that 6:30, 7:30, just before I go to get the kids. Sometimes I do it before I go to wait the kids. So yeah, just playing with all these things. So that's been something I have been doing every day, exercise wise, but I haven't been doing any sort of form of exercise outside of that. And I've been really feeling it. I'm really feeling the need and the want to strengthen my body and to get back into my body and feel a bit of cardio as well. So last night I had the inkling and the nudge to do a strength training at 10 p.m. And my first thing was like, Anna, this is way too late. You cannot do this. You're supposed to be on your downtime. You're supposed to be winding down, moving away from the screens, go into bed and read and start. And I was like, no, I'm going to try it. So I did it, and I felt amazing. It felt so good, and I slept really well. And just the permission to hear those voices and hear those shoulds and hear those, this is crazy. It's way too late. People don't do this. This is not the done thing. All those thoughts and voices and ideas that come in, and to test it out for yourself and see what works. Now, I don't think that's going to work for me every night, but the freedom to do that on a night when I choose, that usually in my head, exercises for early in the morning or earlier on in the day. And that usually works with my schedule as well. But just the joy of being able to do something completely that is out of my usual routine, and to play with that. And I don't know, if I looked it up online, I'd say people would say, maybe it's not so good to do exercise late in the day. Although if you go into human design goes into the nuance of different different bodies and different ways of being and different energy bodies needing different things. So, for different types, for projectors or reflectors, they would need much more inward downward time, or maybe they wouldn't as well, because it's a blanket statement also. So within each of these helpful teachings like human design or astrology or gene keys or whatever you might be into, numerology, any of these things that help us have and help us guide ourselves and give us the blueprint of ourselves. I mean, take those as helpful, but also be willing to throw those away as well. And with our cycle, I've also been experimenting with my cycle recently, because so beautiful and amazing to live by the cycle, and to know when I'm premenstrual and what that decluttering that comes, and I really have to, my decisiveness becomes really accurate and really clear. There's such clarity and such a need to get things done. I'm really efficient premenstrually, and then during my menstruation I'm usually quite inward. But actually last week was the first week of my cycle, and I was so much more outward and so much more full of energy. And to roll with that, like to allow that to be, and to not be like, no, this is wrong because I'm at the beginning of my cycle, but to allow it to be that way for this month. Maybe it won't be the same for next month, but to hold these lovely cycles and structures and teachings for ourselves, and to inform us of how we are and how we might move in the world, but also to be willing to go against that and to throw them out on any given day, week, month, and decide that something different is required for ourselves. And that requires us to stay close to ourselves and to tune into ourselves, to be attuned to ourselves, and to be willing to listen to our bodies, and to take breaks and take moments during the day where we are checking in with ourselves and seeing what we need next. So these are all things I'm playing with. And there was also, what was the other one? Food as well. There was the emotional eating thing was coming in. So I was noticing when I was a bit stressed during the week with the kids at bedtimes, particularly when they weren't going upstairs to get ready and do their teeth and stuff, I could feel this slight irritation, resentment coming up. And then my initial thought was, I need some chocolate, or I need a biscuit or something, right? And then catching that, I mean, like, oh no, this is the response to the stress I'm feeling in the situation. So then going into the body and being with that inner child, that other part of me, younger part, that part of me that feels that things need to be a certain way and they're not going a certain way, and that causes stress. And to be with that part and to be like, it's okay. This feeling is okay. It's safe to be feeling this feeling. Let's just be with the sensation in the body. But I also then created a name for my ego, and that voice saying, have some chocolate, you just need some chocolate, or whatever it is, like stay up later, keep reading, don't go to sleep yet. And the difference between that voice of the ego, or whatever you want to call it, that other part of us. And it's really helpful for me to name that this week, which I've done it before, but this week in particular was really good. I had a new name for it, and a persona, and she's really annoying. She's also a bit of banter sometimes, but and I was able to speak to her and call her by name and interact with her and be like, no, this is not what I want at the moment. You're telling me you want chocolate. I don't actually want chocolate. And checking in with myself, and to differentiate between that, the ego, and also then the deeper wise self, the soul self. And to know that it's okay if we listen to that ego self and do have the chocolate or do whatever the thing is, that it's okay, allowing that to be okay too, and allowing it to be part of the game, part of the experiment, part of being human, part of the playfulness that we get to do. And because we listened to the ego and had the chocolate or did the thing that we didn't necessarily want to do, allow it to be okay, and allow it to be information, and gather that information to know, okay, was that my ego or was that my soulful self? And that can just be really helpful to build up a relationship with ourselves. So that was the other one, the food in general, like what I want to be eating during the week as well. Do I want to be doing intermittent fasting, which I sometimes do. I sometimes at nighttime stop eating at like whatever time it might be, whenever we finish dinner, like 7:30, 8. And then I sometimes won't eat until, the 12, 14, 16 hour mark. It depends. Sometimes I that's not a rule for me. I do it sometimes, but then other times I need to have breakfast at, 8 or 9, and that's fine too. And it's really so avoiding this dogma of, certain rules, certain things that are, this is me, I am someone who does intermittent fasting, or what do they call it? They don't call it intermittent fasting anymore. It's something else. Anyway, Yeah, timed fasting, whatever it is. But we can really over identify with these things, that I'm someone who exercises at a certain time or whatever it is. But loosening that and not making these definitions of ourselves, allowing it to be fluid and allowing this to change. And I know it's easier sometimes to say that we are a person who does XYZ, or who is vegan or is vegetarian, or who does this, who eats that, who doesn't eat eggs, who exercises at a certain time, or who goes to bed at a certain time, because that gives us an anchor. So that can be helpful to have those anchors, but also like having the discernment to know when they are becoming restrictions and when they're becoming confining and contorting and stifling and suffocating. And so it's all about playing. And the more we get to know ourselves, the easier these nuances become, and the more we can hold, and the more loosely we can hold these things. And I just really had, the want for the playfulness and to break the rules, to make up my own rules for my life, for the life of Anna that is very unique and quite different to everybody else. There are similarities to everybody else, and there are unique differences that I have and that need to be treated as such. So not looking outside myself for the way to live my life, but also looking outside myself and being informed and being inspired by other people and by research that says get how many hours sleep or whatever it is, but to filter all of those things through my unique inner wisdom. And when we get good at that, then we can thrive. We can begin to see how our unique selves, our unique bodies, and what we need. We can give ourselves what we need to as much as we can within the constraints of our day. But we can create space for that. And it's really fascinating for me to be playing with that and to give myself permission. And for instance, today, now I usually record a podcast on a Thursday. It's Friday now that I'm recording this, and I'll release it later. And I usually like to do it on a Thursday and have the rhythm of that. And then I thought earlier, well, maybe I won't release one this week at all. I'll just skip it and do it next week. And then there was part of me, that talk between, is that me just wanting to be like rebel against the rules I've created for myself, and do I actually have something that I really want to speak about, and that feel not just speaking for the sake of speaking either. And then doing it on a Friday instead. And also I was going to use my the new mic I have, and then I just got to the point where I'm going to collect the kids soon, and I said no, I'm just going to record on my laptop. And like simple things, they're so subtle and so simple, but there could be a rule that I could create for myself, and probably would have in the past. Now that I have this mic, I must use it, and this is how I have upgraded how I'm doing the podcast. And it's like, no, there are no rules. I can do whatever the hell I want. And that is not like, this is speaking to the rule followers, to those of us who are, heart-centered people who do good for humanity, who care about other humans. So we're not going out and not caring about other humans, and not, just creating anarchy and just, going out and doing destructive things. So it's not about doing things that are destructive. It's making our own rules so that we can feed ourselves, not so that we can, eat all the bags of crisps and have all the chocolate, because that's breaking the rules and making up our own rules. Great, but ultimately that's possibly damaging ourselves. So what is it that we can make up our own rules away from societal expectations and cultural norms and familial rules and any rules we have created for ourselves or heard of a way things should be done, especially ways that women should behave, and ways that a mother behaves, and ways that a wife behaves, or whatever it is, a sister, a daughter, any of these identities that we attach ourselves to. How can we really become our own unique individuals and live life as ourselves and nourish ourselves and nurture ourselves with all of that? It's so exciting, and it's so juicy to have that exploration of life, to be dabbling and to play and to bring all of that into our lives in as much a way as we can. Like, so if you're in a 9 to 5, 9 to 6, 9 to 9 job, whatever it might be, that is more structured, like, where can the play come in? Can the play come in that, like, okay, you've been eating lunch at your desk. Can you create playfulness where you eat lunch at a random time, like 3 o'clock? Maybe that's when you eat your lunch, or maybe what really suits you, and what within the constraints you're in can you change at nighttime, where you're used to watching Netflix, or you just do it because that's what you've always done and that's what the rest of your family does, and you all, I don't know, it's break out of these things, like the permission to break out of these things, to not follow what we have always done and what we're used to and what we just keep doing because we've always done it. So it just, we don't even question it. So there's real, the permission to question things, to make up our own rules, to create our own explorations, and allow ourselves to be the authors of our own lives, and to really step into that more and more and more, to build a muscle of playing and practicing, and allowing none of it to be like, none of it is wrong. It's all just play, it's all just experimentation, it's all just information. And that can lead us to becoming more of ourselves, and to um, sitting more down into our own bodies, into our own souls, into our own unique way of being. And I think the more that each of us can do that and be inspired by each other, but also really, really ultimately check back in with ourselves and be who we are in this world, the better this world becomes, because each of us doing life the way we are supposed to do life makes us happier, and allows us to be more authentic in ourselves and come across and be more real with other people and create real connections with people, and to free ourselves from all these rules and expectations and stresses and constructs that we have been um, indoctrinated into and have agreed to, unconsciously, or, the unwritten rules. And really play, like really just know that we are in this time where we have permission, we give ourselves permission to play and to not do things the way they've been done before, not do things the way our parents or families have done things. I mean, choose the things you want to do, but so not do the things because it's the way it's been done, you want to rebel, but it's really tuning in to self. Like, what do we want? What works for us? How do we feel? Like tuning into that somatic element, that bodily response to when we do things for ourselves and how it makes us feel, and attuning to that every day, because it's every day is different with the seasons and with our own inner seasons, allowing that to inform as well. And it just, life becomes so good when we do this. Life becomes so juicy, and so we can really appreciate the gift that this life is, and the gift of interacting with others, the gift of being in a relationship with others in our lives, and relationship with ourselves. So yeah, this is your permission slip to play and to experiment and to break the rules, to make your own rules, to disengage from anything that doesn't work in your life where you can. I mean, there are some things that we do need to continue to do, but on the smallest scale, where can we do things differently to allow ourselves to feel free and liberated, and that our life is our own, that we get to live this one life the way our soul wants us to. Like, our soul is always nudging us. We are always getting those with our wants, our desires, where we're led to. Like, it's so, the more I do that, the more I realize I'm in co-creation with something, with a force, with something that's out there that is responding to me as I respond to the needs, the wants, and these subtleties of making my own rules. I am responded to with either signs or synchronicities or a good feeling in my body. And it's like, okay, that reciprocity keeps going and regenerating and creating a beautiful vitality. And there is nothing like that, because that's that ease in my body and flow, and feeling like, okay, this is the way it's supposed to be. The way I was living before is not the way. Like, the so much stress and so much watching and vigilance and being, in this bracing. And when actually there is a different way of doing things, it doesn't look hugely different from the outside, but internally, how we are in communion and in relationship with life and with ourselves can become so exquisitely delicious. And um, it can make so much sense for us then. It just becomes so obvious once we start to do it more and more and build this muscle. And it's over time, and it's with the most, as I said, like, it's starting with the smallest, most seemingly insignificant shifts and changes and experimentation. But knowing that each thing you do to experiment builds up and gives you information and feedback as to where you can be going next. So yeah, just experiment with your life and question things, question, and be your own author of your life, be your own director, be your own producer, get out there and allow yourself to be the star of your own show. And when we are in that and really living our life in our own body, the way we're supposed to be living it, in integrity, all those words, thoughts, feelings, actions, movements, all in integrity and all in tune with each other, well, then the world outside us responds, and we become much more able to create more love in the world, to put out more love into the world, more kindness, more generosity, more. And God knows we need all that right now. We need more people who are living as themselves and who are in love with themselves, and therefore able to ooze out love to other people and to see other humans and to really, embrace each other in our humanity and in all our trials and tribulations and what we're all going through and what we're all dealing with. And so go out, play, experiment, go in. Actually, don't go out. Well, go out as well, but go inwards and really dabble and just play, have fun, experiment, and see what time you want to go to bed at, see what time when you want to exercise, see when you want to, what food you want to have, when, like, maybe start eating eggs if you don't eat eggs. Is it wrong? I don't know. Like, who knows? You can, all the information out there that we are given about everything keeps changing as well. So we know that external is always going to be changing. We're going to be given constantly changing information about what's best for you to be doing and what's best for you to be eating and what the best way is for you to be moving and living your life. And it's like, oh my God, that is exhausting. If we keep looking out there to all these changing landscapes, it's too much. It's too much for our systems. So we can look at, as I said, be inspired by things, but ultimately come back to ourselves, bring things through our own system and find out what is right for us. So go forth, enjoy, play, experiment. As always, that's always my invitation: to play, to experiment, to make your own rules, and let me know how you get on. If you'd like to, you can message me on Instagram at wildsimplicity, or you can email me hello@annaday.ie. Don't be afraid, email me, get in touch. I love chatting with people. And if you like this podcast, you can share and send it to anyone you think would like it, who needs a bit of encouragement to go out there and live and express and be themselves. And in the meantime, enjoy, and I will see you next time. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching. Thank you for joining me on this journey to wild simplicity. If today's episode inspired you to let go, simplify, and reconnect with your truest self, I would love for you to share it and help spread the word. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode, and follow along on Instagram at Wild Simplicity for more inspiration. Remember, life is precious and you have the power to live it fully, freely, and fiercely. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep seeking, and keep embracing the wild possibilities of life.